It is hot in Thailand at the moment. Hot, hot, hot. 30 degrees today, look at me. And actually, when it's humid and when there's no wind like today, it feels like 40 degrees. So what better than to cool off with a nice ice cold beer in a nice air-conditioned bar? Hold on a minute, there's one here. Especially when it's air-conditioned and you get a nice cold towel as well. You don't get that very often. But what I really fancy is a nice beer.
Would you like something? We have Chang, San Miguel Zero, Heineken Zero, Tiger, and we have Thai beer, Singha, Leo, Chang.
And that is about what you're going to get in every single beer bar, disco, nightclub that you come to here in Thailand. Here, of course, in the pub, we do have a special because we sell draft Guinness. We're the only bar on Walking Street that has draft Guinness, but that's about it. And those beers come from the three main breweries here in Thailand. Boon Road, which makes Singer and Leo, Thai Bev, which makes Chang, and Thai Asia Pacific, which makes Heineken, Cheers beer, and also distributes Guinness. Now, I'm not really a beer drinker, but those that are tell me they all kind of taste the same. They're pale, light, crisp lagers, and they're very, very popular with Thai food. In fact, you always see the Thais usually when they're eating food in big groups, as they do, with a large bottle of either Leo or Chang, because in Thai society it's very normal for people to share both food and a beer with your mates or with your family. So they'll be sitting in a big group and having those very, very big bottles of beer. Another thing that might surprise you is what they like to drink the beer with.
And would you like some ice with the beer?
No, I'm okay, thanks. Drinking beer with ice is very, very normal here in Thailand and in most of Southeast Asia as well. It's just a regular thing. It's something that many people when they come here don't quite get used to that. And there are certain countries, I'm thinking of you, Australia, that really doesn't like ice in their beer, and they like their stubbies and their tinnies really, really cold. And there is an art form to getting the beer just at the right temperature. For example, if you put all of the different beers in a fridge, some will freeze up and some won't, and the reason for that is the alcohol content. Most of the alcohol content in the beers over here is about 5%. That's okay if you're from Germany, from Belgium, but if you're in the UK, America, that's quite a high alcohol content, and it might be difficult to get used to, and it can be a little bit deceptive. As I've said, it's very sunny, you're really thirsty, and you're drinking and all of a sudden it could hit you. The alcohol content of the lower alcohol beers is about 1.5 to 2%, so those freeze a lot quicker and a lot easier in a fridge. So when you're planning a fridge, you do have to make sure that you put the low alcohol beer in the warmest part of the fridge, if that makes sense. The most famous beer brands here in Thailand, and the ones that are most popular, are Leo. I think the figures are about 53% of people drink Leo. Chang, 37%. Then comes Singer. With Westerners, and here in this bar, it's different. You can get days when we sell more Sing than we do Chang, or we sell more Leo than we do Tiger, but generally San Miguel Light, which is actually an imported beer from the Philippines, is the most popular with Westerners here in this particular bar. You may have heard of Chang beer from other parts of the world because it is exported along with Sing, although Leo it isn't, and that's to do with a lot of sponsorship that some of the Thai beers and breweries took out with many sports teams. For example, who remembers when Everton, the second team in the city of Liverpool, that'll get a few comments. We're sponsored by Chang Beer, and also there was a sponsorship with Beer Sing and Manchester United for a while, and also I think with Chelsea. There are very, very strict advertising rules about alcohol here in Thailand. In fact, when I advertise that we have Guinness in the bar, I can't say we've got Guinness in the bar. So I've been quite clever, and my designer's been very clever and put together a campaign where we just call it the black stuff. So it's one of those campaigns where if you know, you know. But many of the Thai beverage companies get around the advertising restrictions on alcohol by producing bottled water, soda water and other soft drinks. For example, Beer Singer Beer produces not only soda water but also now a range of soft drinks, lemon drink, which is very, very nice, and low calorie, and also an orange type drink as well. And they do that to get their brand out there. It's exactly the same brand but just with no alcohol, and they do that to try and get their brand on national television here in Thailand. Another thing you might notice when you get served a beer in Thailand is the beer cooler. Sometimes it's a big kind of polystyrene holder, sometimes it's this, and this is colloquially known as a condom, which causes hilarity in the bar several times. You'll walk around Pattaya in the daytime and see these out in the sun drying, and the reason is we wash them every day, because if you don't, they start to smell very badly. So if a lady asks you, would you like a condom with your beer, don't worry too much, she's only on about the cooler. So things haven't really changed in Thailand for years with beers, but are they? Because now there is a movement, an underground movement if you like, that is embracing the art of craft beer here in the land of smiles. Not only those imported from other countries such as America, but also a blossoming craft beer industry here in Thailand itself. In fact, the British Guardian newspaper had an article all about the blossoming Thai craft beer industry. 7-Eleven recently announced that 1,000 of their stores will be stocking a range of craft beers in Bangkok and other affluent areas, and lots of Thai microbreweries are popping up all the time. And if you think about it, it should be a positive thing, and their product should taste very nice, because whereas microbreweries around the world might have to use dried ingredients such as hops, flavorings, wheat, rice, here in Thailand we can make those naturally, so hopefully the beer should taste better. Unfortunately, there are lots of restrictions when it comes to setting up a new brewery, and there are questions being asked in the Thai Parliament about why that is, and it is assumed because the big three breweries that we've mentioned before are trying to restrict the smaller craft and independent breweries coming up. In fact, the way around that for some independent breweries is they actually manufacture the product just over the border, say in Cambodia or in Laos, and then they import it. For example, Phuket beer is actually made in Cambodia and imported into Phuket to sell. Lots of independent craft beer bars here are opening in Pattaya. You have the one which was at the Avenue. Unfortunately, that's closed, but there are places like Craft Cottage on LK Metro, which has recently reopened. The big one, which is really popular with Thais at the weekend, lots of cabaret shows and great beer, is Wizard Beer. That's right next to Tim's Beer Bar, if you remember that. A lot of my subscribers remember that on Second Road. And there's also Wish Beer, which is very, very popular and a big brand in Bangkok, coming to Pattaya at the old Excite venue, plus a brand new craft beer bar opening onto Pryor Road. And let's not forget Hops, which is very, very popular for both beer and food, on Beach Road. Don't forget, Thailand is a Buddhist country, and the government here are not very keen to promote alcohol. Look at the way that it's dragged its feet for months and months and months about selling alcohol when the restrictions were relaxed on the worldwide pandemic. And don't forget, there are Buddha days, 4 or 5 different days every year where there is no alcohol to be sold whatsoever. It's well known that in the higher echelons of the Thai government, there are people that are very anti-alcohol and very anti-entertainment. Many of the Thai breweries are now producing 0% beers such as Heineken Zero to try and combat that. And what do you think about that? Do you remember the Thai road safety campaign for the new year, which told people not to don't drink and drive, but to drunk but go slowly? That would never happen in the West. It's a strange country that we live in. What do you think? Would you be interested in, for example, trying a new craft beer or some new lines of draft beers here in Le Pub? Let me know. We're open from 11 till midnight from the 1st of May, which is great news. And our restrictions continue under the emergency decree. When that is dropped, we then go back to our old licensing hours. Here on Walking Street, we have a license till 1 o'clock, but because we're in an entertainment zone, we can really go on for 24 hours. It all depends if we're causing a nuisance and there's lots of public disorder in our venues. But really, we can go on for 24 hours. We're waiting for that emergency decree to be dropped. Let me know what you think down in the comments. One of the days when you can't get a beer is during an election, when Thais get to vote 24 hours before the vote. All the bars and the convenience stores aren't allowed to sell alcohol, and that's coming up in the month of May. What do you think about that? In fact, stay tuned, because next week we've got a video all about Thai elections. But until then, check out some more of the videos that are coming up on your screen, and make sure you check us out for a nice cold one, or maybe even a nice Guinness here at Le Pub from 11 AM every day. But for me, Mr. Egg, at Le Pub on Soy Diamond, we'll see you soon. Cheers!